There is a bizarre phenomenon taking place, a very disturbing trend that I've noticed, and it's really cropping up primarily just throughout this last year. I'm talking about naked people, people getting naked and going into fits of blind rage, being arrested all around the planet, not just in America, but seems to be taking place more so in America than any other place. But these people are stripping down to nothing and they're attacking people, anyone they can come across. And typically through witnesses and through police accounts, these individuals are being described as enraged, out of their minds, beyond all logic and reason, feeling no pain, running amok, beating up random people they come across, smashing cars, smashing car windshields, beating up cars, causing property damage with their bare fists without even slowing down. So why are enraged, naked people going on the attack all around the world? I believe we've been being prepped for this kind of news for a really long time now. And really beyond news, it's actually a movement. And as with all these bizarre trends, it really is holding up a mirror to our society. This is a darkness that's been allowed to grow in many people's hearts, minds, and souls, and now it's come manifest into the physical. So when we read the accounts of these people, the crime reports, we begin to see a bigger picture. And it's interesting because the way these people are acting reminds me personally of what I call demonic possession. And as you know, one of the things we do here on the channel is we keep track of some really bizarre trends that seem to unfold around us. And as the years go on, these trends are increasing. One of the strangest trends I've covered here over the last few years is this rise in cannibalistic attacks, or a rise in zombie attacks. Here on the channel, we've also debunked the idea that all of these attacks, these zombie attacks, these cannibal attacks, are associated with some form of drug use, like flakka or bath salts. We've discovered on this channel that that seems to be the mainstream's excuse for all of this stuff, even when, on multiple occasions after they actually test the people who are acting out in these ways, we find that there were no drugs in their system whatsoever. Yet the media continues to propagate the idea that it's all drugs, just drugs are causing this, it's making people go crazy. Whereas it's my belief that this is actual proof of real demonic possession, an increase in demonic possession. Over the years, as I've covered all these strange subjects, please keep in mind I'm constantly looking at news and looking for news stories. And I collect these stories and I put them into little folders. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll check out these folders. I'm surprised what I'll find. On this video, I want to talk to you about another example of a really, really bizarre phenomenon that's taking place. That in many instances I do find it connected with these cannibal attacks and these zombie attacks, or on a very base level, these demonic attacks. But these particular crimes that we're going to talk about aren't always associated with cannibalistic attacks or zombie attacks. Sometimes it just seems like people are really losing their minds. Went back to one of my folders recently because I kept finding a trend, and this trend I'm finding is a lot of people are getting naked. They're taking off all their clothes. They're doing some really crazy things in public. Sometimes they are attacking people. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're having sex in public in front of a lot of people. The point is, there are multiple bizarre stories about people seemingly losing their minds and getting naked and acting out in some really strange ways, and this has been increasing over the last few years. Here on the channel I've covered this subject extensively, and I've shown time and time again over the last few years there really is a rise in what I call demonic possession. People acting crazy, people attacking each other. So now I have all these accounts of people getting naked. And of course I'm talking about the criminal aspect of this, but beyond the criminal aspect of this, there's something else taking place. I believe it's a mass campaign of social engineering, also predictive programming. I thought this was interesting here. You may have heard of this singer Sia or Saya, I'm not sure, but she apologizes for triggering people through her Elastic Heart music video. So this really is an example of an Illuminati artist getting called out by the people. I mean, so many people recognized all the wrong with this video that she had to apologize. The article goes on to say she apologized for any emotional distress caused by the video for her latest single, Elastic Heart, after concerns were raised about potentially disturbing content in the clip with Shia LaBeouf and Chandelier star Maddie Ziegler. And here's a tweet: the new Sia video is all kinds of terrifying when you have grooming abuse in your past. Wish it had come with a warning. I agree, these kind of videos should come with warnings, but they never will, because this is exactly what a lot of these videos are meant to do, and that is to trigger you. I believe that firmly. Also, for them to put some kind of disclaimer would be them acknowledging the fact that they're using this magic really against us. Continuing with the article, it says the 5-minute film shows LaBeouf clad only in a pair of flesh-colored pants, and Ziegler, caked in dirt, engaged in a physically intense dance-off in a giant cage. And of course, the cage is used in all kinds of these music videos, especially in reference to mind control. The obvious 16-year age gap between the two dance partners led one commentator to argue that this smacks of child molestation. This part's really interesting. They say LaBeouf himself is a past victim of sexual abuse. In December, he alleged that a woman actually raped him during his performance of #IamSorry, in which visitors were invited to interact with the actor alone in a single room. He said one woman who came with her boyfriend, who was outside the door when this happened, whipped my legs for 10 minutes and then stripped my clothing and proceeded to rape me, he said in an interview with Dazed. There were hundreds of people in line when she walked out with disheveled hair and smudged lipstick. This is an image from what they were calling performance art. I am sorry, #IamSorry. You should check this out. Certainly a very bizarre ritual that he did in public. This isn't the first time that Sia had made a video that seemed to reference child molestation or child abuse. This right here is an image from her music video Chandelier, once again with the child Maddie Ziegler, who's 11 years old at this point. They put the child in a flesh-colored suit like this, and she's dancing alone through these dark rooms throughout the entire video. And of course they have some of the Illuminati symbolism we see so often in these videos, but like I said, these two take on a whole new level of creep factor. They insinuate child abuse, mind control, and beyond all that, if it wasn't already creepy enough, it's also the implied nudity using these flesh-colored suits in these videos as well. And looking further into pop culture, another way that they're normalizing nudity, right? They are destroying modesty, is through the very popular TV series Naked and Afraid. So now for some more modern examples, you may remember the naked statues. There is the naked statues of Trump that were propping up, and we've also had the naked Hillary statues. Speaking of which, we can't forget this huge data dump, and I believe this was all part of a psychological operation as well, but it was the release of multiple celebrities' nude photos online. They called this Fapgate, or the Fappening, were a couple of the terms they used. But once again, it's seeing all of these idols, right? These idols for so many millions of people, seeing them naked. And even more recently, we have this right here, Katy Perry getting naked to vote. So no surprise, again, of course, this beast system uses their pawns in this respect. Katy Perry and the rest of them are certainly used to push forward agendas. And speaking of Illuminati tools, it didn't take long for Madonna to jump in and say she was going to vote naked as well. And of course, over the last few years, other celebrities, quote, stars, have been getting involved in this kind of activity as well. Getting naked publicly. So we understand how predictive programming works in social engineering. We'll see these things in all forms of media for a few years, and then in no time at all, we see this manifesting in reality. So right now I want to take a look at several cases of nude crime that have been propping up. And I'll mention the dates as well, because this stuff is really popping off here in 2016. So let's take a look at some of these cases. So it was this story right here that reminded me of all the other cases I'd been collecting over the last year or so, of these weird criminal cases involving public nudity. And this one right here took place in Florida. A Florida man was arrested for driving around naked with an electronic device attached to his penis. So this story came out early November 2016, about a week ago or so. A Florida man has been charged with showing off his charged-up penis around a Boynton Beach neighborhood to at least one alarmed resident. Slowly cruising down the street in his car, a report from Boynton Beach Police Department says Kurt Allen Jenkins gestured at the victim to look down towards his groin area, where the victim observed an electronic device with wires attached to Jenkins' penis. Now, Jenkins allegedly propositioned this victim, which prompted the police call. Here's another fairly recent story from September of 2016. A Detroit man is facing murder charges after county prosecutors say that he shot and killed a man in front of his home, and then he shot and injured another man, took off his clothes, and tried to run away in the nude. Here's another one from November 2016. Drunk naked guy searching for sex partner instead ends up behind bars. Joshua Ivy, 27-year-old Tennessee man, nude and carrying an unopened can of Coors Light, was arrested early Friday after residents of a Florida beach community called 911 to report that a naked white male was banging on their windows and doors. When police arrived at a condominium complex in Santa Rosa Beach, they discovered Ivy was completely naked and appeared extremely intoxicated. Ivy, whose speech was slurred, could not recall how much booze he had consumed, where he was staying, or how he had gotten to the Grand Isle condominiums, but he did have an explanation for why he was pounding on people's doors. Ivy, a police report notes, said that he was searching for someone to have sexual intercourse with. Here's one from August 2016. A naked man arrested at Dallas Park after backflip off of a squad car, beating officer badly, police say. A naked Dallas man put up quite a fight before being arrested this week, backflipping off a squad car and beating an officer bloody, police said. A few feet from the officer's cruiser, Hampton then ran up the trunk of the squad car and did a backflip, causing both officers to lose their grip. Right after that, he delivered a roundhouse kick to the face of one officer and stood over the other man, punching and kicking him repeatedly. The attack left large wounds on the officer's face and head, and his ribs were broken. This one's from November 2016. A naked man causes chaos in Pretoria court. An accused man gave a Pretoria magistrate's courtroom a full frontal on Monday, leaving destruction in his wake. The video of the accused man walking on top of the magistrate's bench, throwing out files, papers, a ruler, the magistrate's chair, and anything else he could lay his hands on went viral after being shared on Facebook. Since then, the video has been taken down. This case happened in Dayton, Ohio, in America, just about a year ago. The police said a woman who was wearing no pants and he seemed highly intoxicated was arrested around 1 a.m. on a Friday while outside banging on an apartment door. Police tried to get the woman to put on her pants, which were located on the ground nearby. Instead, the officer reports that the woman picked up a white garbage bag full of trash and tried to put it on like it was pants. From November 2016, in Alaska, a nude man breaks into Wasilla home and exposes himself to a mother and children. Dispatchers got a report around 10:30 a.m. Friday about a nude man, later identified as 39-year-old Jesse Smart, trying to break into a residence in a neighborhood. Responding troopers met with Smart, who was naked at the time, according to an online dispatch. Investigation revealed that he had entered the residence and exposed himself to a mother and her 2 children. Smart was unknown to the victims. November 2016, an East Knox County man with a history of leaving the house naked has been arrested again, this time for exposing himself to teenagers in his neighborhood.
Lindsay Med Stevens was standing nude in his front yard when two teens spotted him on their way home from a school bus stop Tuesday afternoon. The 12-year-old girl and 13-year-old boy told authorities that they only saw Stevens from behind. The girl's 20-year-old sister, however, who was driving the two home, said Stevens' genitals were exposed. She also yelled at him to put clothes on and asked if he knew that there were kids present. He responded with, "Yeah, and I love it." Here's one from October 2016 in Denver, Colorado. The suspect in a hit-and-run crash that left a person dead and part of Colorado Boulevard closed for hours was arrested Monday night after he was found naked in a lake in City Park. 2016. Mystery man. This man's actually still on the loose. A naked man approaching women in parking lots is stopped by Overland Park police. And here's one from August 2016. Nude man attacks Savannah Chatham police homeowner in apparent drug rage. Woken up around 2 a.m. when a nude man, later identified as Brandon Johnson, 21, crashed through his back door. Because of the violent nature of the attack, the victim asked that he not be identified. The homeowner sustained serious injuries from the assault, including 3 broken bones around his eye, and could potentially face long-term blindness. And at Chatham Islands Precinct, patrol officers responded to reports of a nude man breaking windows at Five Guys Burgers and Fries and damaging several cars parked in the restaurant's parking lot at about 2 a.m. The homeowner said that Johnson had cuts all over his body and was dripping blood all over the place, and then he ran out of the front door. Officers found Johnson in a wooded area near the home. Johnson refused to follow officers' orders, instead lunging at and actually attacking the police. September 2016. This is in Cato, New York. Cato Meridian High School football players were suspended after they made younger players run while naked outside. And this is from February of 2016. Naked woman kicks out police car window on Palmetto Expressway. Miami-Dade County, Florida. A naked woman kicked out the window of a Miami-Dade police cruiser Tuesday morning while she's being taken into custody. According to the police, officers were initially called to the Office strip club in reference to reports of a naked woman who was yelling in the parking lot uncontrollably. Police said that once they approached the subject, she was arrested on disorderly conduct. After officers found her outside of the club screaming at another employee. As officers attempted to talk to her, the subject began taking off all of her clothes and continued yelling profanities and seemingly losing her mind. January 2016. Naked pedestrian struck on I-465. About 1 p.m. on Monday, troopers from the Indiana State Police responded to calls of a naked pedestrian on the interstate. Witnesses said that the man, who has not been identified, walked into traffic and was struck by a 2003 Toyota sedan. Upon arrival, police found the naked male laying in the road still conscious and breathing. A preliminary investigation determined that the man stopped his car on the right shoulder for unknown reasons, exited his vehicle, and began walking south on the shoulder, police said. As he walked, he left a trail of his clothes behind him on the ground. Bench warrant issued for Clearfield man caught naked on neighbor's porch, June 2016. Clearfield man who was found naked on his neighbor's porch in freezing temperatures failed to appear for his preliminary hearing yesterday at centralized court. According to the affidavit of probable cause, police received a call from a resident of East End who said there was a naked man on the porch of a residence on the 600 block of Daisy Street. Chief Vincent McGinnis and Officer Nathan Curry responded to the scene and found the male completely naked. The police said the subject appeared to be under the influence of alcohol or some other substance. His pupils were very constricted, his eyes were wide open, and he had a blank stare to them. His mouth and teeth were also covered in a red tinge. The male said he was covering his private area because a spider bit him. He wouldn't give his name or address when asked repeatedly by the police. The male also told the police that lions were eating his arms and legs and he needed help. March 2016. Police, naked man found vandalizing Sikh temple in Spokane Valley. The Spokane Valley Sheriff's Office says they were called to the temple Thursday morning and found 44-year-old Jeffrey C. Pittman, detained at the time by witnesses. Temple members told police they entered to find Pittman naked, with a blanket wrapped around him and holding an odd decorative sword. July 2016. This one's from China. Police arrest a naked robber in China. Bizarre footage has emerged from China of police arresting a naked robber. Several videos show the man walking naked down a street. August 1st, 2016 again, 2 off-duty police officers and a civilian bystander tackled a naked man suspected of assaulting a Flagstaff police officer. According to Flagstaff Police Department, Officer Daniel Beckwith responded Saturday to investigate a report of a naked Caucasian man behaving suspiciously. When the officer arrived, the reporting party directed him to a wooded area. The officer could hear the suspect yelling, so he called for more officers to assist him. Beckwith identified himself as a police officer as he approached the suspect, who was nude and still yelling. The suspect responded by telling the officer to take all of his clothes off. Instead, Beckwith told the naked suspect to calm down and come talk to him. Rather than calming down, the suspect told the police officer to get on the ground. The suspect then took a fighting stance as Beckwith approached him. When the officer told him to turn around and put his hands up, the suspect instead started walking towards him. He ignored orders to stop even after the officer pulled out his taser. The police officers said the suspect then assaulted Beckwith, causing both men to fall down a rocky hill. Naked man walks into girls' locker room at South San Francisco High School. At about 5:30 p.m., a man wearing no clothes went into a locker room at South San Francisco High School and exposed himself to 5 girls who were changing after cheerleading practice. November 2016. Naked man shot with stun gun dies in North Carolina. North Carolina authorities say deputies hit a naked man with a stun gun after he charged at them following a car crash. Henderson County Sheriff's Major Frank Stout said in a statement that when deputies arrived at the crash scene at about 1 a.m. Tuesday, they found the naked driver acting extremely irrationally and uncooperative. And here's a news story from October 2016 that ties in the creepy clown phenomenon with this nudity phenomenon. Partially nude female clown charged with chasing cars. From April 2016, naked woman dances on top of car causing traffic jam before driver brutally yanks her down by ankle. And then we have this one from February of 2016. Naked woman trashes clothing store, jumps on car. The store's manager said that Ferger, who was the woman who perpetrated this, entered the store with only a blanket tied around her and began to shout things about saving the world and ending human trafficking. While yelling obscenities, she began to damage merchandise and generally trash the store. The owner of the business came at Ferger from behind and tried to prevent further damage by restraining her, but she was able to escape and resume her rampage outside. Outside in the parking lot, she continued to throw items at the building, including a metal table which she threw through a window. Ferger then climbed on top of parked SUV and began to dance and jump up and down while cursing at passing customers. April 2016, woman strips down naked after police car chase. Helicopter video shows a woman who led police on a high-speed chase take off her clothes while police officers surround her after leaving her vehicle. June 2016, young naked woman arrested after throwing piece of concrete at a Long Beach police car. A 20-year-old Los Angeles woman was arrested Tuesday evening after allegedly throwing a piece of concrete at a police car while naked and possibly under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Officers were dispatched to Long Beach Boulevard regarding a naked female adult possibly under the influence of alcohol or drugs, breaking bottles, throwing garbage at passing cars, vandalizing windows of a parked car, and jumping on vehicles. May 2016. Woman leaves tanning salon naked and strolls down the street to her car. The unidentified female boldly walked down a town center street and climbed into her car after her very public display. Now this one's actually from 2015 and it took place in Korea, but I wanted to include it because I found a trend while looking through all these stories, and it seems like a lot of the women who are getting naked in these stories are also, for whatever reason, jumping on cars. So this here's crazy naked Korean woman on rampage, strips, jumps on car. September 2016, back in America, drunk, naked woman accused of sex act outside. Customers at a Pennsylvania Wawa store got an eyeful in the parking lot. As the state police say, an intoxicated naked woman was caught performing a lewd act with another woman inside a parked car with its windows down. Here's one from 2015. I thought it was interesting though. Chris Brown, the singer, finds naked woman in his bed, quote, crazy voodoo things in his house. Singer Chris Brown says he came home to an unwanted surprise from one of his fans, a naked woman in his bed who had apparently been in his house for some time. Brown documented her alleged bizarre behavior in an Instagram post, saying that the woman broke the hinges off his doors, cooked several meals, and spray painted "I love you" on the walls. He says she threw out my daughter's clothing as well as my dog's stuff, then had all these crazy voodoo things around my crib, and she painted her name on my cars. March 2016, woman crashes head-on into taxi, emerges naked from the wrecked car. A woman who drove down the road going in the wrong direction before smashing head-on into a taxi left bystanders on a busy Bangkok street bemused when she emerged naked from the wrecked car. Despite the efforts of several people who tried to cover her modesty, the woman was having none of it, preferring to stand by the car in her birthday suit. So this is from 2014. It took place in the UK. Police taser naked woman seen in Liverpool city centre armed with a knife damaging cars. Woman wearing nothing but shoes restrained by officers. Again, this weird connection with the naked women in the cars. So that's just an example of some of the stories I wanted to share with you. I mean, there's more. Believe me, there's more. It could be a really, really long video. But I mainly wanted to cover the ones that have propped up here in 2016. And as you can see, there's a lot of them. But if you start going back throughout the past few years, like I said, you're just going to find more and more of these bizarre cases of people getting naked and doing really weird things. We have this strange connection with the ladies getting naked and stomping on cars, for one example. We know that this world has been dying, that our societies have been corrupt and dying now for many years. And we see this manifest in many different ways. I cover a lot of them here on the channel, and many of you cover them on your own channels or your blogs as well. And we feel it, we see it. We know there's a sickness in the land. It's also interesting, again, to consider all the predictive programming and social engineering when it comes to nudity or this loss of modesty. So as always, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think about all this? I always enjoy checking out the comments and engaging with you all down there. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll just say thanks once again for checking out the video. I really appreciate you. Take care out there, alright? And I'll talk to you real soon.